Welcome to Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerantz, and we're joined today by Scott Blough. He is the president of the board of the Simi Valley Unified School District. And sir, I'd like to speak with you about the importance of science and math. As you know, recently California adopted what's known as Common Core, and we are now using the Common Core standardized tests, at least our version of it.
Yeah.
And we have our results over the last 2 years, and as it relates to math, English too, but math particularly, we're not doing so well. Overall, 37% of California students met or exceeded expectations. That means 63% did not meet or exceed expectations. And then if you break it out with some ethnic groups, it can be a little more daunting. What's your sense, sir?
So math education is currently going through a major change, I think, nationally. One of the big issues that we're seeing is sort of math and the growth mindset. Students
versus fixed.
Students have a belief, and parents can actually pervade this belief in the home of, I'm not a math person, I can't do math. And oftentimes, some of the practices in school, such as timed tests, many of the other ways that we've taught math in the past, create math anxiety for students, kind of shut down certain areas of the brain.
Have you been to my house?
No,
because
I have not.
feel like you have been to my house because I have two daughters who are in the fixed mindset on math, and they think that they're language arts students. They're not math students.
Correct.
And they're in 9th and 7th grade, and we're trying to disabuse them of that notion because actually, their math isn't that bad.
Well, I have the same issue at home. So I have the same challenge with my son, and a little bit with my daughter, although she's more on the math side and trying to get her on the reading side. But the big issue is that we just have to focus students on project-based mathematics. So
which means what?
So doing math with your hands, starting them out doing very physical math, measuring things, figuring out how multiplication looks, blocks, all of the sort of hands-on type of mathematics that I think that we had sort of in the 90s or the 80s, but then kind of went away as testing kind of came into more of a written exam, and now we're sort of the pendulum swinging back.
And I'm glad you brought that up because, look, standardized tests, they serve some purpose, but they often are given a tremendous amount of weight. And these new standardized tests were only in the second year of reporting statistics. And you see these numbers, they can be very daunting, but this is a different type of standardized test. It's on the computer.
Correct.
And kids are learning math differently, like you said, under Common Core.
Correct. So there's going to be this transition period with math. And I think as one of the feedback that I get from many students and parents is the math is actually harder. We need to sort of fill up the idea of creating more math networks with parents and giving them access to the math so that they can support it at home on a better level.
Well, here's the challenge, my friend. So let me just tell you a quick story. My niece took the SAT. I thought, I'll see how I do. I took a practice SAT. I did an English section. I did a math section. On the English section, I got 100. All right. On the math section, I got 0. I couldn't do one question.
Wow.
So the point of the story is, once my kids have gotten past 5th grade math, I'm out. And so what do we do when that presents itself?
And so I think that's the bigger area where a community does have to step in, and we do have to find resources for students that need help, especially our EL students, especially students that don't have that sort of support at home.
About students of color, EL students. So in math, for example, like I said, statewide we had 37% meeting standards. Students that are Latino, EL or not, only 24% met or exceeded standards. And I know that Simi Valley has a vibrant Latino community, so you look at those numbers and that's 1 in 4.
That's correct. So it's a starting point. And I think that we have to look at, I know.
We're up 3 points from last year. It was 21%.
It's a starting point. I think the big challenge here is that you also have to understand that the curriculum's still being statewide, curriculum still being adopted in math. One of the areas that's changed in the Common Core curriculum that a lot of people may not know is a lot more emphasis on word problems and English language. So that's a huge limitation as students are learning the English language to also be transitioning and doing math at the same time in the form of word problems.
I know that you're a big advocate of STEM and STEAM education, science, technology, engineering, art, and math.
Correct.
How is that passion being effectuated in Simi Valley USD?
So right now we're sort of in the sort of area where we are bringing this in to the district, especially at the elementary level. We're sort of at the beginning stages of a STEM and STEAM sort of approach. It's a new, it's really a new approach for the district on many levels. For instance, we have a CATS Academy at Crestview Elementary that focuses on creative arts, technology, and science. So it's connecting both the performing arts, where students are able to act out plays and act out and do musicals and so forth. But then also we have classes where, supportive classes where individuals can do technology such as Lego robotics and many of the other sort of sciences that we would like them to do, such as rockets and all sorts of other, I think, more exploratory type science that get people engaged in the science curriculum
and I want
in
to
the long run.
And as they march through middle school and high school, you have a decent number matriculating into the STEM majors.
Correct.
But again, when you look at ethnic breakout, the numbers are disappointing for students of color. UCLA did a study. They looked at STEM majors over a 5-year period. Only 18% of African American students wound up graduating when they had first declared a STEM major, 22% of Latinos. Even Anglos at 33%, and Asians at 42%, still a little disappointing. And so is there something that K through 12 districts can do to get these students more prepared for those STEM and STEAM majors?
I think you're starting to see some of this actually at the county level. So for instance, the Channel Islands, CSU Channel Islands, they do a STEM fair at a school in Oxnard.
Fantastic.
And it is one of the best events. I've actually attended as a board member, and I took my kids to a school in Oxnard. They set up a whole level of just hands-on scientific information, and the kids loved it. I mean, absolutely loved it.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because I notice, and I'm just going to use my kids as an example, science really gets them going. Math can be intimidating.
Correct.
And when math and science converge, I don't want that to be a deterrent. So what can schools do to make sure that that doesn't occur?
I think the longer period is to create the phenomena. So the beginning in Next Generation Science Standard is you create the phenomena. I'll give you an example. My son came home the other day. He had a magnet and 2
He's
paper
fourth
clips.
grader?
He's a 4th grader. And he connected the magnet with 2 paper clips, right? And then he removed the magnet and kept the paper clips together, and he thought that was the neatest concept or scientific information that he had ever brought home, and he was showing it off for not just a few minutes, but a few hours in the house. I think the more that we drive up the curiosity about science and what the capability is, and then the more we build more of a growth mindset and really come from math from a project-based component of hands-on math, really giving them sort of the basics of putting things together and understanding the underlying concepts of math, I think both will rise at the same level.
Because you believe that science and math are intricately connected.
So we have many students who are fantastic in science, but they cannot do the mathematics.
That's
and
my daughter.
That's one of my daughters. Big area that they have to fuse together.
I mean, she's fusing, but yeah, I mean, in bio basics, strong student. In kind of algebra, a bit of a challenge. And I'm just using my daughter as an example. I'm sure that many of our viewers have the same challenge.
Exactly.
His name is Scott Blough. He is the president of the Simi Valley Unified School District Board. My name is Brad Pomerantz. We're coming to you from the edge of the LA County, Ventura County line. This is Local Edition.